everyone, Joe here from ActionX. Welcome to What's in the Tube. Welcome back. If this is your fourth Walker Independence episode review, hope you're doing well out there, staying safe out there in the world. Last time I'm going to say this for hopefully a while. The reason why this episode review is being posted later than usual is because Fios TV, Verizon Fios is having issues with Nexus Star, which is the current owner of the CW or Pix 11, whatever you want to call it. And that currently is leading them to not air any CW programming on Fios TVs across the East Coast, I believe, right now. So right now, for me as a Fios TV customer, I cannot watch any of the shows we are reviewing from the CW, which is Stargirl, which is Walker, which is, of course, obviously Walker Independence. So I am only able to see them after they come out, only on the CW.com, which is streaming for free with no ads, which is the day afterwards. Now, normally, I don't want to rush anything, so I prefer to just wait until it comes out, and then it'll come out that the immediate night. So that's what we're going to do going forward, is that it will be back on its regular time date, but it will be on a different time slot. So just so you're aware of that. We're going to try and get these out by 9:30 p.m. So like only a 12-hour difference. Sometimes it'll be earlier, most times it'll be later. But that's just like the bar I'm setting for myself right now. Hopefully they'll resolve the issue soon so we can go back to our original format, but we'll see how it goes. We'll see. However, for this week of Walker Independence, I've been very shaky on the series so far. I think of all the shows I've reviewed on a week-to-week basis, I think it's the one that didn't really get me from the get-go. But I feel like this episode was the one that, like, okay, you're getting me really, like, I actually really like the show. I think this was finally, like, all the setups over. This felt like this was a kind of felt like a filler. It felt like a character development episode, a character relation development episode, as well as it really advanced the plot as it brought in the mystery going forward, making some unexpected choices with the characters. And honestly, 4 episodes in, we're really progressing pretty fast through the story. I think right now we're only getting 13 episodes. I haven't heard anything about a pickup or anything. The CW tends to be a little bit later on that, but considering the fact that we're kind of progressing pretty quickly, I checked ahead in the schedule, and we're getting at least up to episode 7 before Thanksgiving break. That's still pretty fast. So I'm like, if we just come back in the new year and we immediately wrap it up, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised. I've seen it before, but like, damn it, that would be pretty fast. But we'll see how it goes. Anything could change. Right now the CW landscape is pretty much in flux this year as well. They sadly, not canceled, but they're ending Nancy Drew this upcoming season, which we will be reviewing next year. A lot of things are coming to a close, also with The Flash and Riverdale. So a lot of things are ending this year. I don't think the Walkers are going to be going anywhere soon, because like, you don't want to get rid of too many of your long-running shows. It just becomes a more of a cost-effective measure of like, okay, we're cutting out 2 of our most long-running shows, i.e. the ones with the most expensive cast, because they're the long-running shows. And then now we're going to be windowing down to like still the newbies. Like, they're still pretty early on. They're not too early. I'm getting too far ahead of this thing. Overall, this episode of Walker Independence, I really enjoyed it a lot. I think it's my favorite episode of the 4 so far. And I can't wait to see how much more they're going to develop and more build this up even further going forward with the rest of the season. So with that being said, let's go through the Butcher recap and talk about this week's episode of Walker Independence. So we begin, it's apparently Freedom Day, which is, I think, I think it's the day where the town officially was founded. It's Founders Day or Freedom Day? I think it's Founders Day. So it's the anniversary for the town. It's a big old street festival, a lot of vendors, a lot of attractions, a lot of big things, a big show tonight, brought to you by Higgins and, of course, Kate, the dancer. But before we get to that, Abby is holding Kate at gunpoint, wanting some answers, and she wants answers. She has questions and she wants answers. And Kate's immediately like, okay, you know what? Fair. Technically, out of everyone in the room, I should be scared of you, because I really don't know what the hell you came from or your backstory is. Eventually, mostly off screen, they kind of fill in on each other about what the other's doing there. Kate admits she's a Pinkerton, which I think, she's an investigator, and she's also a Pinkerton. I believe that's the word she was saying. So I haven't done history in a while, so I have to research on that as well. But she's on the good side, and she's only mainly here to investigate what the heck the Davidsons are really doing in terms of like all these mysterious expansions and all these all the purchases they've been making around town in the nearby areas. And that's what she's here to do, to investigate, to see what they're up to. And Abby admits, like, yeah, my husband was killed. I'm 99% certain it was him, and that's why I'm here to I'm still in town to make sure that he gets punished and we figure out how to take care of him properly. So they're both filled in on each other. We cut to the next morning where they're about to get some breakfast. Hoyt and Caliban are there, just also filling in. They're just assuming Abby's part of not Abby, Kate's part of the team now, since now that she knows everything. But she's like, just because I know what you three are doing doesn't mean I'm part of your team. Like, I have my own investigation. I have my own reasons to be there. I will try to help you when I can, but mainly my reason is trying to figure out what are the Daversons doing and what is their motive with the town and the surrounding properties. That's it. That's all I care about. I can give little to less about your dead husband, which I know sounds a little bit harsh. It's not exactly how she words it, but it's basically it. She's here for a job. She's here for a reason. Yes, she is friendly with Abby, but that doesn't mean she's going to uproot her entire investigation just to help her out with her dead husband. It's just the sad reality of it. But the only thing she will advise them is to be very careful. The moment that he knows that they're onto him, he will literally do whatever he could to get rid of them. And that would be the end of their supposed investigation and the end of her investigation. So the time is the essence. It's better to be patient than to be rushful, which makes sense. Again, this is the whole thing of that, we're in this part of we need to figure out where the allegiance lie. We need to learn where the trusts are earned. And I think to cut ahead a little bit, I believe by the end of this episode, those moves are being made. Those positions are being firmly placed by the end of things. So they're off to do things in the town because it is Foundings Day, so they decide not to really investigate too much. They're like, you know what, it's a holiday, let's just enjoy. We'll cut back to this another day. So everyone's in the town getting things ready, especially Sheriff Davidson, who gives his coat to Kai for some reason, just for the sake of convenience. But however, before everyone can enjoy the actual festivities, Sheriff Davis's aunt waltzed into town. Well, not waltz, she rides in on a horse. Well, she's in a carriage. I don't know much about Western terminology. But she's here for Founders Day, among other reasons, but we'll get to more about in a second. But she's here for the holidays, and, obviously seeing her dear old nephew again. And they're playing a little bit of catch up, and he was apparently supposed to prepare a goodie basket for her, which is missing a crucial ingredient, a soap all the way from Austin, which... Again, he just said, I'm running a town. I literally don't have time to go all the way to Austin and back just for your soap. She's not having it. She's like, it's what I want. I will not be satisfied if I get this. Abby decides to use this as her opportunity to A, get in with the aunt, as well as B, have a reason to leave town. Since she remembers that, well, on her way to Austin is the town where the judge lives in and runs in that was the one that appointed Tom to become sheriff after her husband's death. So she has a feeling that, okay, he's the one that I'm going to go to figure out why the heck he appointed Tom specifically to be the sheriff. Hoyt's like, nah, I'm not going. I'm already wanted there. I'm like, Jesus, is there anywhere in the very limited expanding Texas region that you're not arrested in? I mean, seriously, come on. Both you and your future descendant have problems. Y'all have problems. But he laments, he decides to go, considering the fact that he has really nothing else to do in the town. And also, he just sees Louisa just spending more time with Caliban. Not by choice. Her dad is unhappy with her singing the last couple of episodes in the town. So he decides to punish her by just sending her back home, not participating in the festivities, and just staying home until they come back home. And he has Caliban send her back home, so he does so. Again, there's a little bit of spark between them, but we'll get to more about that in a second. But of course, Hoyt's the jealous one because he actually does legitimately have feelings for Louisa, but he can't really act on them since he's not really worthy of her. But regardless of that, he and Abby decide to head off for the next town over to see the judge. Meanwhile, Kate's taking care of Aunt Davidson, welcoming her in. She's pretty much strict, brash fella. Meanwhile, Higgins is occupied by a street vendor who is trying to sell him some goods. He buys this very experimental alcohol beverage for 2 for 1, I guess. So he buys it. And Davidson's here. Mainly the other reason she's here is that she's been courting Higgins to purchase his property in Independence, i.e. the entire hotel and everything. He's like, nah, it's my property. You know what? I'll take a look at your contract. I'll take a look at it, and I'll see the finer terms of things. Kate also intrudes to kind of, break up and figure out what the hell's going on here. Eventually, Aunt Davidson decides to leave because it's getting too crowded here and she doesn't want to continue the festivities with Kate around. Which allows Higgins to have an opportunity to just get away and just figure out what he really wants to do. At the same time, when they go to check later, is that also apparently that another thing that's riding on the success of Hagen's not selling his entire business is the big show tonight, which is a big money maker for them. So they need to sell out in order to like keep everything going. However, things become precarious because Kate apparently not witnesses. She sees all the dancers' clothes ripped up, torn apart, very conveniently. So she has no choice. With no money, she decides to go to Kai. He was exposing his crush on her to make her new suits, but it's pretty nice. It's pretty sweet. They're getting a little bit closer, and, she gives him a kiss on the cheek, which doesn't really mean that much. But Kai is a very love-struck individual who will take any chance he gets, any opportunity he can. Abby and Hoyt are on the road. It's pretty hot, which I'm not surprised. Texas was pretty hot when I went the last couple times I went. And they're just gallivanting around. Just, some bonding stuff. They haven't really had some, one-on-one bonding time, in a very... not intimate, but in a pretty close fashion that isn't Caliban, that isn't Davison related since episode 1. So this was nice for them to bond a little bit more. Her telling him more about her life in Boston, and him telling about his crush on Louisa, and the fact that even though they boned so many times, it doesn't really mean they're kind of meant to be a same set thing. And now that Caliban's kind of spending more time with her, it doesn't really bode well for Hoyt, for his opportunity, to be honest with you. They managed to take a little bit of a break to have some fun in a nearby lake, where Abby was expressing her guilt of not participating more with Liam's, hobbies when they were together. This feels like the perfect time to kind of make up for it. So they have fun and decide to resume their quest for the town. With the judge, which they arrive. It turns out that the judge refuses to see anyone with a court date or any sort of outstanding warrant. And remember, Hoyt does have some outstanding wanted posters for his arrest. So he turns himself in. He gets sentenced by the court, i.e. the judge, and Abby uses this as her opportunity to get in and kind of talk to him a little bit more about it. Turns out that he never met Tom before, but he knew the Davison family where he used to live growing up. And, between that and their influence and everything, he decided to just select Tom because, he comes from a pretty well-known family, so he would pretty much be a good sheriff just by family association, I guess. Even Hoyt decides to get in on the action, trying to figure out, how did you know that the original sheriff that was appointed died? And he's like, well, Aunt Davison showed up a little bit beforehand and told her yeah, the new sheriff is missing, hasn't shown up yet, which is kind of odd since I'm pretty sure they would have had a plan for that, but okay, I guess just hearing it offhand, I mean, I guess is as best. Again, he's kind of tainted by the fact, the Davisons are nice people. They're one of the wealthiest, well-known families in the area. Of course they would be trustworthy. Of course they would be trustworthy. Oh my lord. Where was I going to proceed with that? I want to say, yeah. So, that limited information doesn't get them anywhere, and also Abby just once again drained all of her life savings to bail Hoyt out because he wasn't going to leave that building with his freaking warrants still outstanding. So she paid for that. And apparently, as a little bit of a payback, Hoyt stole one of the judge's books, I guess his bookkeeping book, I guess, for all of his visitations. And it turns out that Aunt Davison visited him a week before Liam and Abby went across that part of the road where sadly he died. So why did Aunt Davison tell the judge a whole week before the actual murder that the new sheriff is dead? How does that even work? So they knew okay, so the Davisons are really pulling bigger strings than we thought here. So they decided to head back over to Independence to go tell the others the news. Which meanwhile, in the meantime, I want to say while Kai is preparing the dresses for the dance, the street vendor we saw before in Hawkins, I forgot his name already, Mark Shepard's character's office to sell him some booze, shows back in, initially posing as a customer, but telling him that yeah, I know you, I know about one of your little, I guess, robberies you committed a long time ago. I still remember your face, so if you don't want me to tell the sheriff about your past actions and get you arrested, you're going to give me all the money you were hiding for your just in case of emergencies fund, which Kai's like, fuck. And the money he pulled out was a big stack. It was this freaking big. That was a big stack of bills. And he gave it all away to him. Which was damn, that was I felt the pain in Kai's heart, like, you know, even though, like, I'm pretty sure that money was stolen, like, that's still his money. That's still, like, money he was saving just in case, and that's all gone. And he's like, it's not, and even Kai's like, how do I know you're not going to go still tell, you know, the sheriff and the authorities that, like, yeah, I did this. He's like, you don't know, but hey, I mean, you have a better chance of me not telling them if you just give me the money. If you don't give me the money, I'm definitely going to tell them. Like, it's still a lose-lose for you, even if I do anything, but it's my choice. It does suck when people do that. I want to say, yes, so while Kate and the others are getting dressed up, Higgins shows up to greet them before the show, and he passes out. It turns out he's been poisoned by the alcohol that he drank, the experimental one. Around the same time that Kate and Abby and Hoyt return, they tell her about the book. And yes, there is some suspicious here if Ed Davison, like, is reporting the murder of someone a week before the actual murder occurred. It definitely does raise a couple of red flags, but isn't it really enough to, like, really indict them for, like, murder or anything? It's this probable cause, but, you know, you still need a lot more evidence. And again, considering the fact this was, like, way back in the 1800s, like, yeah, it's a little bit more harder to prove that, because, again, she said you have to prove without a shadow of a doubt that Tom Davison killed your husband, which is still a long shot. This definitely does shorten the gap, but it's still a long shot. So what do they decide to do in order to get a rise out of things and just say, yeah, we can't get to you right now, but we're on your track in a very subtle way. They decided to do a performance. Again, it was very weird because they all act chummy, which they are. Abby has Hoyt perform some gunslinging techniques, with Hoyt, like, signaling to Davison, like, I know what you did. I'm gonna kill you, but not today. And even the dancers, like, dancing a song about, do you know Tommy D? And I'm just like, I don't know whether to be impressed or to be cringe. I think I'm more impressed at the end of the day that we're in the 1800s. And again, I know it's still common back then. I'm not saying, like, it's super fucking ancient, but still, like, just, Jesus. The choreography on that for a last minute performance was like, it was just to T. It's like almost like the Riverdale standards, but it was still an enjoyable song. It was very nice to see kind of like everyone in, like, the Independence crew kind of, like, you know, we know what Tom Davison did, but we can't do anything about it yet, but we can still make fun of him for it. And even he's just so uncomfortable. Like, he can't do shit right now, but he wants to kill them all. You know that already, but he can't do shit. While Higgins is in bed recovering from his poisoning, Ann Davison shows up admitting that, yeah, she had the vendor poison him, and that she will give him the antidote once he signs the paperwork, once he signs the contract. And at first he's not budging. At first he's, like, you know, holding his ground and everything, but the more he thinks about it, the more he does not want to be involved in this conflict anymore, so he signs the contract, sadly. Which by the time the performance is over, and they all instantly know, like, yeah, we know Tom's on to us now, but who cares? We wanted to know that, you know, he's not as perfect as he seems. And also, apparently, Higgins also had a council seat, so not only did he sign over his property, he also signed over his council seat to the Davisons, so that means Sheriff Tom does have a seat on the table. So whenever they do their big decisions, with him being the sheriff and all, he will basically have total power in Independence, which is definitely not a good sign for the rest of the crew there. Meanwhile, over in the long reaches of somewhere out in faraway Independence, well, not far away, but, like, close enough Independence, Caliban and Louisa are still traversing back to her house, which I'm like, is pretty damn far, to be honest with you. They notice one of Louisa's fences for her farm is destroyed, probably from the Davisons. Caliban volunteers to fix it up. They bond a little bit more. Okay, it seems like there is a spark between, like, I think Louisa just thinks it's so nice that someone actually does care about her, like, actually talking about her, not just trying to fuck her. It's like, it's new, it's interesting. And again, I feel sorry for Hoyt, because I'm pretty sure Hoyt does have genuine feeling. It's just in his nature to do certain things. Whether or not he'll actually change, we don't know about that. Yeah, Tom starts gallivanting to Kate about, like, yeah, now that he has the property, he now has everything that he needs now. Kate goes to Higgins to basically scold him out, and he's like, yeah, I'm tired. Like, I just don't want to do this anymore. I want to give up. And she's like, you're just a coward. You're going to die alone, you know, penniless and ashamed of what you did. And he's just like, he can't really say anything, because, like, it's already done. Like, what's done is done. There's not really much he can else do. Kai's back at his shop. The same guy comes back saying that, look, it's pretty, I know you already paid me, but, like, I still know what you did. I think I need a little bit more money before I skip town and you know, and leave without saying anything. So basically this guy was like, okay, I saw your emergency fund. I want all of your money. Like, I want all of your life saved. I don't give a fuck about you. Like, this is an opportunity for me to get rich right now, so I don't care. So Kai does so. He this time a much lighter back. Gives him all the money. Like, he's about to leave. Davison shows up, frightens him. Like, if you even try to frighten my people again, I will kill you. And he's like, damn, it feels so familiar to my day-to-day job right now, but I won't talk about that here. But obviously, even though Davison is the sheriff, technically this is his job. I'm pretty sure if he wasn't in the position he is right now, he would have instantly just like Kai get robbed and everything. Just say, oh, there's nothing I can do. I was busy doing something else. But no, he's doing this because he knows that no one really trusts him. Like, even his own deputy doesn't trust him. Like, you can say for our hands that, like, he looks like a very nice man, but he hasn't earned anyone's trust yet. So doing this for Kai definitely is a ploy to, like, get Kai to say, like, I'm a good guy. I'm on your side here. So when the time does come, I need you to do something for me. You'll be there for me. They're kind of like, that little setup thing, that they're known for. Davison's are like that. I think from after that, I want to say we get to the big thing. I'm thinking that we don't miss anything. Yeah, I think that was it. Yeah, so Caliban returns, regroups with everyone else, and Kate tells them, like, yeah, so they have the saloon now, they have the council seat, and again, and Davison skipped town already, so she's already out on the wind, leaving Sheriff Davison to his own devices, which very much indicates, like, yes, you are right, he is a much bigger threat than we thought, and we're going to need everyone to take him down. And Hoyd just says, like, very remarkably, and then there were 4. And I was like, will this 4 actually last? I don't know. It's only a matter of time before Kai and Luisia can get roped in on it. Basically, let's just get everyone in on this. Like, eventually, that's how they're going to do it. Like, they're going to recruit everyone slowly, and then they'll eventually take down Davison, and then, like, yeah, that'll be it. We'll see. We'll see. Again, the story's progressing in the right pace. A little bit fast, but again, that's the Walker speed. Like, they just tend to go fast. But there's always something in the road to kind of like put a hiccup to it, put a stop to it. What would those be? When would they come out? We don't know. But overall, that ends this week's episode of Walker Independence. So for me, again, I thought this was a great episode. I think this was the first one I actually was intrigued with from start to finish. There seems to be a nice little escalation point throughout the episode, so hopefully it'll continue going forward with the rest of the season. Definitely love the dance number against Davison. Love that Abby and Hoy got to spend a little bit more time together. Poor Kai. Poor Kai. I really feel sorry for him. I really do. Sheriff Davison, he ain't feeling so hot right now. He's feeling a little constricted right now. His aunt seems to have like a really firm footing on her because, again, she raised him as well, and she has like kind of like that tight leash on him. It's like, you got to follow our orders. We have our plans, and you're going to follow them. Like a little good boy you are. And so he's really constricted over the wall, especially he's starting to be aware, like, yeah, there are people that don't trust me, and they're starting to get a little suspicious on me. So he knows he's starting to get a little tight there. So I like that little, like, what is he going to do next? What's the next thing he's going to do to try and get him out of the situation? We'll find out soon about that. But again, I think for me, yeah, I thought this was a great episode overall. I think the show's definitely starting to like get to like a really good standard, and hopefully we'll continue to see that trend throughout the next few episodes or into the rest of the season. But I'm going to give this episode 2 thumbs up. First time I'm giving that rating for a long while. But let me know in the comments below, what did you think of this week's episode of Walker Independence? Let's have a conversation down below. Let's start it up. But I believe that's going to do it for me today, everyone. So if you're unaware, this has been What's the Two from ActionX, reviewing every episode in the hopeful first season of Walker Independence. If you want to know what we're doing normally, What's the Two besides our Walker Independence reviews, we are currently doing the Rookie episode reviews, the Rookie Feds episode reviews, DC Stargirl episode reviews, and Walker episode reviews each and every week after brand new episodes on ABC and the CW, so go check them out there. But if you don't care about Walker Independence, you're in luck. We'll be back next week with another brand new episode review for you to enjoy, so stay tuned until then. But again, this has been What's the Two from ActionX. Please subscribe to us on youtube.com/ActionX videos. Ring that bell for notification when our next episode reviews live. Please also like, favorite, share if you want to, as well as follow us on social media to stay up to date with any sort of updates we may have for either of our channels. But until we see each other again, for all you members of Independence out there, I'll see y'all next week. But until then, stay safe out there, be good to each other, and as always, peace out.